Coca-Cola spends endless billions on advertising every year, but will never once try to sell you their products. They sell an idea of happiness, harmony, and togetherness. Some would say it's a distraction from the disturbing truth. There are serious accusations against the company that they've caused disease, droughts, exploitation, and much, much worse. What's the real story behind their marketing of happiness and harmony? And what dark secrets lie beneath the surface of this beverage giant? What's the real story behind their marketing of happiness and harmony? And what dark secrets lie beneath the surface of this beverage giant? Welcome to MoneydocuTV, a channel dedicated to entrepreneurs who risked it all to create today's most iconic brands. Chapter 1: How Coca-Cola Really Began. In the 1880s, a backlash against doctors led to a rise in home remedies, leading to entrepreneurs creating potions and elixirs with claimed medical benefits. One popular patent medicine was Vin Mariani, a mix of wine and cocaine, which claimed to cure various ailments. John Pemberton, a war veteran, became addicted to Vin Mariani after drinking it, believing it helped him overcome his morphine addiction. In 1884, chemist Pemberton created French Wine Coca, a knockoff of Vin Mariani. However, prohibition led to the removal of wine and the addition of sugar to counteract the bitter taste. Frank Robinson, Pemberton's bookkeeper, suggested the name Coca-Cola, referring to the drink's main ingredients: cola nut, caffeine, and coca leaf, coca. Coca-Cola denies its formula ever contained cocaine, despite the evidence, proving cocaine wasn't as magical as initially thought. So, now that the wine had been removed, Coca-Cola could continue being sold. The only problem was, not many people were buying it. Early ads for Coca-Cola described it as a harmless, wonderful brain tonic that relieves headaches and upset stomachs. However, sales were slow because there were countless other patent medicines offering the same thing. Coca-Cola didn't really stand out. Meanwhile, Pemberton was becoming increasingly ill. His pain was worsening, his addiction growing stronger, and by 1888, John Pemberton was dead. The tragedy is he had absolutely no idea that his drink would soon become one of the most well-known beverages on the entire planet. Chapter 2: The Spectacular Rise of Coca-Cola. Before Pemberton's death, he sold the company to Asa Candler for around $2,000. Candler then bought out outstanding shares to control the company, though later investigations found forged signatures. By the 1890s, Candler was fully in charge of Coca-Cola. To increase popularity, one of Coke's first marketing strategies was to contact every pharmacy in the area and send a free coupon to top customers, hoping to convert them into lifelong customers due to the addictive chemicals in the drink. However, it soon became clear that advertising Coca-Cola as a medicine was the wrong strategy. They could market it to everyone by simply positioning it as a tasty, relaxing drink that anyone could enjoy. This had the added benefit of disassociating Coca-Cola from the patent medicine industry, which would soon face a lot of scrutiny once people realized that most of their claims were complete lies. Coca-Cola's mass marketing strategy was a huge hit. As sales started to grow rapidly, Candler reinvested more and more money into advertising. Coca-Cola's success is attributed to creating a positive image of the drink, paying celebrities to recommend it, and featuring Santa Claus in Christmas ads. These marketing strategies were revolutionary at the time and helped establish a connection between Coca-Cola and the joy of Christmas in young children's minds. For example, Coca-Cola effectively utilized sex sells in advertising through Coca-Cola girls, attractive women always carrying a Coke. They even created a statistical department to analyze car traffic and supermarket movement for effective ads. As new technology like radios and TVs emerged, Coca-Cola invested heavily in advertising to ensure its products were accessible to everyone. Coke was initially sold in soda fountains. However, lawyers Benjamin and Joseph suggested bottling Coke, which Candler initially deemed a dumb idea due to its high cost and complexity. Candler agreed to a contract granting them full bottling rights for Coca-Cola for just $1, believing it would lead to increased sales of Coke syrup. Bottled Coke was a huge success, with customers loving it and creating a revenue stream for the business. However, Candler's lack of thought in the contract resulting in multiple lawsuits between Coke and its bottlers. The Coca-Cola company eventually paid millions to buy back some of the rights that Candler had sold away for just $1. But back in the early 1900s, this wasn't a worry for Candler because sales of Coca-Cola were higher than ever and growing every year. This wasn't wasn't really because of the product. There were countless very similar drinks out there, and remember, Coca-Cola was a knockoff of another drink anyway. The reason for the rapid growth was marketing. Every single year, Coca-Cola spent more and more money on advertising, and every single year, sales of Coca-Cola grew. However, arguably Coca-Cola's biggest successes of all would come from a pretty surprising source. Chapter 3: The Lucrative Business of War. During World War II, Coca-Cola claimed to be exempt from sugar rationing due to its essential wartime product, Coke. The government agreed, largely due to Coke's extensive lobbying efforts. The government appointed a Coca-Cola executive to the rationing board, granting Coca-Cola an exemption from sugar rationing. Coca-Cola also promised that every man in uniform would receive a bottle of Coke for 5 cents, creating a strong connection between the company and the war effort. This decision gained public support and goodwill, and Coca-Cola used this opportunity to run wartime ads featuring soldiers holding Coke bottles. Coke had a deal with the government to set up bottling plants overseas, claiming it would spread American influence and boost soldier morale. This meant that taxpayers were funding Coke's international expansion. 64 bottling plants were set up worldwide during the war, with technicians considered vital to the company's expansion. This enabled soldiers to share Coke with locals, further expanding the company's reach. The soldiers were so thankful for Coke sending them a taste of home during the hell of war that they became the drink's biggest advocates. The U.S. military basically became a Coca-Cola sales force, introducing new people to Coke wherever they went. Coca-Cola was expanding faster than ever all over the globe. As of today, there are only 2 countries in the world that don't sell Coke: Cuba and North Korea. The deals Coke made during the war were largely responsible for Coke's rapid global expansion across the planet. During the war, Coca-Cola played both sides of the coin by supplying Coke to Nazi Germany, despite the company's patriotic message. The company disassociated itself from American products and displayed the Coke logo alongside swastikas. Despite this, Coke was distributed at Hitler Youth rallies and advertised on Nazi educational pamphlets. During the war, restrictions cut off the supply of many goods to Germany, forcing multinational corporations to sell their products to Germans. Max Keith, the head of Coke's biggest bottling operation in Germany, created Fanta, a drink made from leftover scraps from other food production, which became a huge hit in Nazi Germany. Some sources suggest that Keith used forced labor from concentration camps to produce Fanta. What we know for sure is that at the end of the war, the profits of this new Fanta drink all went back to Coca-Cola headquarters. By 1955, Coke was selling Fanta in many different countries around the world. Of course, like so much of their history, Coke tried to distance themselves from what really happened. Chapter 4: CocaColas Secrets. Coca-Cola will try to tell you that its biggest secret is the drink's secret formula, which is hidden in a high-security vault for dramatic effect. But the formula isn't that secret, it's on Wikipedia. Of course, Coca-Cola's success has very little to do with the formula. You could create a clone product, but you're never going to be able to compete with them. Let's look at why. A new school was told that adding healthier options to its vending machines would not be possible due to an exclusive contract with Coca-Cola. Coke paid the school $3,000 a year, or around $1 per student. This was part of Coke's cradle-to-grave strategy, which aimed to make someone a Coke customer for life by ensuring they drink it from the earliest age possible. In some contracts, the school could even earn additional money by selling more Coca-Cola to its kids. Many schools were underfunded and in desperate need of money, so they would sell Coke's products to their children. Coke has also produced countless collector's items, including Barbie dolls, playing cards, board games, delivery trucks, and other toys that they claim are for adults. In 1982, Coke bought Columbia Pictures to integrate product placement into their films. Product placement in family films is a clever loophole that allows them to circumvent rules about targeting children. In the 80s, more data emerged about the negative health effects of Coke, such as obesity, diabetes, and other health issues. Coca-Cola was able to cast doubt on the science by pouring hundreds of thousands of dollars. They also spent millions of dollars lobbying state officials against sugar taxes and stronger dietary guidelines, making deals behind closed doors about donating to certain politicians' campaigns in favor of special treatment for Coke. Coke expanded into other drinks, such as a bottled water brand called Dasani, but this backfired when it launched in the UK. The company had accidentally added a bad batch of minerals that contaminated the water. However, this wasn't the worst of Coke's contamination problems. In 1999, in Belgium, children started becoming ill after drinking Coca-Cola, eventually leading to the recall of all Coke products. France also reported more than hundreds of people sick from bad Coke and temporarily banned their products as well. The company was very slow to respond to any of these issues and was accused of not taking the problem seriously enough. Then, in India, Coke was accused of contaminating the groundwater with wastewater. Coke actually admitted they had a wastewater issue, but insisted they fixed the problem. However, later independent tests still found traces of toxic sludge produced at Coca-Cola's Indian plants, which reportedly has made the land barren, killed local animals that drank it, and destroyed the livelihoods of local farmers. The Center for Science and Environment in New Delhi also announced it found pesticides in both Coke and Pepsi that, if consumed over a long enough period, could cause cancer, birth defects, and severe disruption to the immune system. One woman from a local village told journalists, "Before this company came, our lives were comfortable and beautiful. After the company came, within 6 months, the taste of the water changed." And Coke's environmental record continued to get worse. The company also runs bottling plants in several drought-plagued areas, and officials have blamed Coke for a dramatic decline in available water. This problem was particularly bad in parts of Mexico because between 2000 and 2006, Mexico's president was a man who'd formerly been the head of Coca-Cola Mexico. And during his presidency, he gave Coca-Cola 27 water concessions, which many claim allowed Coke to pollute water and even steal water owned by indigenous people. During his presidency, Coke sales increased 50% and became the most popular drink in the country. Critics claim this is yet another example of Coke benefiting from shady deals with politicians. Coke has always had to acquire vast amounts of natural resources to succeed, but as the 90s arrived, it began to face negative publicity. In Mexico City, shopkeepers were told their deliveries would stop unless they removed an alternative cola from their store. In Brazil, Coke trolled a new vending machine that would increase Coke prices based on outside temperature. However, the backlash against Coke reached its peak when, in 2003, a campaign called Stop Killer Coke claimed Coca-Cola was responsible for the murder of union members at Coke bottling plants in Colombia. However, Coke denies this, and the truth remains unclear. In 2001, the International Labor Rights Fund sued Coca-Cola and murder union officials in Latin America. Guatemalan workers also filed lawsuits, arguing that the plant was independently owned. What we do know for sure is that the deeper you look into Coke's past, the more you chip away at the wholesome image it tries to present. For example, Asa Candler, the entrepreneur who incorporated the Coca-Cola Company and played a pivotal role in popularizing the drink, once said, "The most beautiful sight that we see is the child at labor. The younger the boy began work, the more beautiful." Coca-Cola's recent ad campaign has stirred controversy due to the company's relationship with Israel. In the ad, Coca-Cola referred to Israel as Oy Jaiga, which means that place, instead of mentioning it by name, which many saw as a weak attempt to distance itself from allegations that it supports the Israeli military and profits from the occupation of Palestinian territories. Critics, including the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, accuse Coca-Cola of funding the Israeli military and benefiting from the occupation. Coca-Cola has faced boycotts before, such as a 20-year ban by the Arab League starting in 1966, after granting an Israeli bottling franchise to Abraham Feinberg, a supporter of Israel. In 1997, Coca-Cola was recognized by the Israeli government for its support. Despite having a bottling plant in Gaza, Coca-Cola has been criticized for its operations in illegal Israeli settlements, which violate international law. The recent ad tried to dismiss boycott calls as rumors, ignoring the company's controversial history in the region. This approach has been widely condemned as it seems to trivialize serious accusations. Coca-Cola's response to the Israel-Palestine Israel-Palestine conflict has been inconsistent, especially compared to its decision to suspend business in Russia due to the Ukraine conflict, highlighting perceived double standards. However, before we all get the pitchforks out, I think it's important to acknowledge that if you look at any giant company with such a long history, you're probably going to find some ethical disasters in their past. That's not an excuse, but a reminder that business is brutal. Many of the same criticisms of Coke also apply to many of its competitors, and of course, Coke has done plenty of good for the world too. We can't come to conclusions from just one side of the story. It's never black and white. What's ironic, though, is that some of the worst press Coca-Cola has ever received had nothing to do with any of these moral or legal issues. Nope, Coke's biggest backlash of all came from changing the taste of their drink. Chapter 5: The Greatest Disaster. The Coca-Cola Company faced multiple offers to buy Pepsi's business, including a $50,000 deal in 1933. However, they turned them down and sued Pepsi for using the word cola in their ads, claiming they were trying to rip off Coca-Cola's products. The courts ruled that cola was a generic term anyone could use. As a result, Coke and Pepsi engaged in an ongoing marketing battle, cutting prices and offering discounts to compete. In 1975, Pepsi launched the Pepsi Challenge, where people tasted 2 white cups, one containing Pepsi and one containing Coca-Cola. The results showed that Pepsi was preferred by slightly more people. Coca-Cola, struggling with declining market share, began a secret mission to change Coke's formula. After rigorous testing and trials, they discovered a new cola formula that consistently performed better than both original Coke and Pepsi. The new formula was more popular, proving that Coca-Cola's strategy was effective. So, just short of Coca-Cola's 100-year anniversary, they did the unthinkable. They changed the Coca-Cola formula and replaced it with new Coke. Immediately, chouse began. Coke expected the uproar to die down, but it intensified. Be sure to leave a like and comment below on what you loved about our video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss another great video. Until next time, we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Remember, no dream is too big.